Kash Patel just walked into the FBI and found a locked room in the Hoover building with 7 burn bags stuffed with thousands of Russiagate documents, hard drives from Comey, McCabe, Strzok, and Page, and evidence that was supposed to be destroyed years ago. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Hit like, subscribe, and let's get into this.
Now, it has been an action-packed 7 months for the Trump administration, but for everything that you see and hear on the news, there is so much more happening behind the scenes. At the FBI, the director, Kash Patel, is working around the clock with Dan Bongino and others and other agents. Not only are they dealing with the crime crisis left behind by Joe Biden and unvetted illegals, 12 to 20 million of them, but also peeling back the layers of what has been what we have reported as a deeply politicized, weaponized federal bureaucracy. For example, Kash Patel, the FBI director, recently uncovered thousands and thousands of Russia hoax documents inside these burn bags in a secret room at the FBI. The director also discovered official allegations from a Democratic staffer who accused Adam Schiff of orchestrating leaks of classified intelligence in order to hurt President Trump. Those allegations had been swept under the rug at the FBI until now, and that's not all. According to a bombshell report from JustTheNews.com founder, editor-in-chief John Solomon, James Comey, also accused of routinely leaking classified information to the New York Times through a friend, a professor at Columbia University. Just the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, here with the very latest, FBI Director Kash Patel. Kash, great to have you. Let's start with the burn room. Now, your knowledge of this issue runs wide and it runs deep because you were working with Devin Nunes at the time. I believe you were his chief of staff. You know a lot about this topic. Were you as surprised as I was that all of that information in that burn room?
So you think that was bad? That was the warm-up. What's coming next is that there were thousands of pages pulled out of these FBI burn bags, these real burn bags that were found locked in the Hoover building. 7 of them. Some of these burn bags had hard drives from Comey and McCabe, Strzok, and Page. This is the same crew that ran the illegal FISA warrants in 2016 and lied to the court to spy on Trump's campaign. They thought it was all gone. They thought it was burned. But instead, Trump's team is hauling it out piece by piece and putting it on record.
Sean, I was blown away. But sadly, it's come to be expected in this town when corrupt bureaucrats weaponize and destroy law enforcement like predecessors of mine did at the FBI. And thankfully, Donald Trump's mandate and election victory was for transparency and accountability. Sean, just think about this for a second. Not only did we expose the Russiagate hoax with the greats like Devin and Trey and Johnny Ratcliffe when we were back there in the House Intel Committee excavating and exposing the FISA abuses, the corruption of political parties, and the lies to a federal court just to illegally surveil a presidential candidate. I come in then years later, nearly a decade as a director of the FBI, thinking we uncovered most of it. But sadly, we found a room locked away in the Hoover building that contained burn bags. And just for your audience, Sean, a burn bag is a government bag that is specifically created to destroy classified evidence and shred and burn it, hence the name burn bag. We didn't find 1, we found 7. That wasn't the only thing we found in there. We found hard drives from our predecessors and prior FBI leadership, and folks like Page, Strzok, Comey, McCabe, the list goes on from Russiagate. The names were strewn all over these materials. Now, as our great Attorney General just told you, we can't deny or confirm what we're looking at, but what we can discuss is what we've publicly disclosed. And these documents have been publicly disclosed because the greatest way to educate and bring along the American public for transparency, initiative, and accountability under President Trump is to give them the documents. And step 1 is by cleaning house inside the walls of Hoover.
And here's where it gets literally dangerous for them. It's not just gossip. This stuff exists. It's files and hard drives and names, dates, signatures. We're talking FISA abuse records from 2016, Brennan's handwritten notes from August that year, and internal FBI memos showing that they knew the Steele dossier was garbage to begin with. By December 2016, they knew that, but they used it anyway. And it's all being lined up with what was about to be buried and burned in these 7 burn bags. The picture is clearer than ever. We're not crazy. This really happened. And once people see it, there's no walking back. Take a look.
Okay, well, one of the important things you got to remember is that that's the FBI's job. You gather the evidence, and then it is examined, in this case, by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and but there's been a lot of talk and a lot written about the investigation into a grand conspiracy. To the extent possible, what can you tell us about that? In other words, that this is long-standing. If it is, in fact, a grand conspiracy, the statute of limitations would be eliminated. Is that what the investigation is about?
Well, Sean, what we're doing is building a case for the American public under the Truth and Transparency and Accountability Initiative. And what I mean by that is AG Bondi brilliantly highlighted our partners, Director Ratcliffe at the CIA and Director Gabbard over at the DNI. We are working with them because the documents that would facilitate an investigation of this magnitude don't just rest at the FBI and DOJ. They're throughout the intelligence community. And we, the Russiagate guys like Johnny Ratcliffe and myself who investigated this and exposed this, are trying to expose documentation that we've known existed for years. At the same time, we're finding new material. So the best approach is to release this information with them and also go to our colleagues in Congress who have an oversight function on the judiciary committees and oversight committees and demand from us information and documentation that we can publicize.
So what I just heard him say is that it sounds like there's not going to be anybody in handcuffs, which is exactly what America wants, right? We want to see people held accountable for these actions. This should be something that we go after, but it sounds like it's really about transparency is what I'm hearing him say, and I could be wrong. But either way, this is the part that these people fear the most when these documents go public and people can see exactly how deep this went in the first place. So we're going to see signatures from Comey, McCabe, and Yates on the FISA renewals in 2016 and 2017. We're going to see Brennan and Clapper in the meetings that we knew about in advance. We've been talking about this for years, but we're finally going to find the evidence that the intelligence community was hiding from us for this entire time. We're going to get some answers. We may not see anybody in handcuffs. Let's take a look at the next clip.
We are educating the American public as we build through this transparency initiative. And where the investigation goes, I can assure you of this. We will max accountability for the American public. We delivered before when we ran the Russiagate investigation. I now happen to be President Trump's choice for FBI director, and I'm honored to lead that charge with our great partners in Johnny Ratcliffe and our great Attorney General and the prosecutors they have over there who are just as committed to justice as everyone should be, blindly so. We are going to de-weaponize the FBI and get its credibility back to the American people by delivering the accountability they need, by showing them what we're doing every step of the way. That has never been done before.
Restoring the FBI to its former greatness. That would be the words I would use to describe what needs to be done and I hope can be done.
You know, coming back of something that Kash Patel just said, do you think that they are, that they saved these pieces of evidence against themselves because they were, so arrogant that they didn't believe that people would see them? Or do you think that they saved them because they thought that someday they'd be looked at as heroes for doing the right thing and, statues made in their honor for them doing the right thing? Either way, it's a monstrosity that we're even having this conversation. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and I'll see you next time.